community, and welcome into 2025 NFL. Here we go. This is the Week 2 edition of one of the most accurate DFS shows in the industry. This is episode number 82 of the Adjusted Line Play Report, where we take a deep dive into the play in the trenches to determine game script and player outcomes. The show is presented by Zilla Fantasy Elite. I am your host, Todd Hoffman, and you can find myself over on Twitter at Todzilla1337. You can find Zilla Fantasy Elite over on Twitter at Zilla Fantasy, and now on TikTok as well at Zilla Fantasy Elite. So get yourself over there and take a peek too. Got all the shorts going on TikTok. So looking forward to another season with you guys. Let's go win some money together. Let's hop right into it. First matchup here, Jacksonville in Cincinnati. If you're a new person here into the Adjusted Line Play Report, we basically look at the offensive and defensive line play and pit them against each other and see how well they should perform in this week's matchup. If you're interested in a little bit more in-depth analysis, you can go watch the Thursday Night Theories. We get into those a little bit more. Really, during the week, when we hit the main slate here, it's basically the game total. We go from the highest to the lowest, and then we hit up the island games. So this week, week 2, we got a Sunday night game and then 2 Monday night games that we'll look at. First game here, though, highest game total on the slate. Jacksonville heading into Cincinnati. It does have a 49.5 Vegas game total. Pretty high there. Anything around 50 or above 50 considered very, very good. This is the top one of the week here. The Vegas line, Cincinnati 3.5-point home favorites, giving them a team implied total of 26.5, which is the third best team implied total on the week. Jacksonville at 23 for their underdogs, actually 9th best team implied total on the main slate there. Main slate is about 15, or we got about 12 games on there this week. So getting into the away team first, offensive pass protection for Jacksonville 9, Cincinnati 13. Nothing to write home about there. Standard day at the office for Trevor Lawrence. Pass DVOA 21 for Jacksonville, Cincinnati 15. Slight favor there for Cincinnati. Suggested that Jacksonville might not be super efficient, but this is still a relatively close matchup, middle of the pack versus getting towards the bottom 10 here for Jacksonville, but nothing really to write home about. Can't really glean anything from this other than, hey, somebody who should be getting targets is probably going to continue getting those. Last week, that actually was Travis Hunter. I think he had a 29% target share, so keep that in mind. Last year, we did see Brian Thomas Jr. very, very good, but that was actually mostly with Trevor Lawrence out and Mac Jones in there. We saw him become hyper-targeted towards the end of the season, so keep that in mind for the pass game. Nothing too spectacular there. Run game, similar story. Jacksonville actually very good in the offensive run blocking, 4th and 4th. They did play Carolina last week, so this could play into effect some of that. Cincinnati, though, number 6 in stopping the run in both run categories. So really an even up matchup here. Typically when that's the case, we say, hey, if they got a stud on their team, he could overcome any matchup discrepancies like this where it's very evenly matched. I don't know if Travis Etienne is really a stud, but he did do very well against Carolina last week, but different defense here in Cincinnati. I don't think were very good last year as an overall defensive unit, so we could see more of the same, but on paper, pretty even matchup here. Nothing spectacular for Jacksonville. On the Cincinnati side, offensive pass protection, number 27. Jacksonville 8th on that pass rush. That's a red-green matchup. Those are typically ones that we want to look at. This one is in the favor of the defense, indicative that this is really a adjusted sack rate, that Cincinnati may take quite a few sacks in this against Jacksonville. They may be pressuring Joe Burrow in this, which could lead to more scrambles for Joe Burrow, but could also lead to more dump-offs, quicker passes, which typically benefit anybody running shorter routes, so running backs, tight ends, and typically slot receivers as well will be running those shorter routes. Anybody that's running more extended routes, I'd be a little bit more shy of. So T. Higgins this week, I would say maybe an avoid. If you got somebody he was a round 3 pick in a lot of people's redrafts, but if you were going wide receiver heavy early, you might want to reconsider starting him this week for somebody else with a little bit better matchup. DVOA even more pronounced there, so third best overall for Jacksonville, Cincinnati 24. Again, one thing to take into consideration, this is the first week of the adjusted line play report, so we only have week 1 values here. These are highly volatile throughout the first couple of weeks because Jacksonville did play Carolina, a very poor defense and a very poor offensive outing last week. That could be playing into effect in terms of them being green. Is that reality? That stuff doesn't start smoothing out until about week 5, but keep that in mind. Based off of week 1 data, this is what we got to go on. On the run stopping side and run game side, Cincinnati 30th in run blocking, 25th in run DVOA, both in the red. So they were in the red. They were playing pretty good defense last week in Cleveland, so that might play some effect into them being green across the board there. Jacksonville 23rd in stopping the run is also red. Jacksonville 17th in run DVOA. This is indicative of Cincinnati, at least based off of this. They should be a little bit more effective moving the ball with the run game than the pass game. They might be under duress a little bit in the pass game. And just keep that stuff in mind. Does really look like Cincinnati may struggle. Jacksonville is kind of an even matchup. I do think Cincinnati is the better of the two teams, but this 3.5 Vegas line seems a little close. I may even go ahead and say, hey, this could be an upset alert. Cincinnati kind of gets out of the gate slow. We may see Jacksonville keep this pretty close, even though Vegas is saying 3.5 points, which is relatively close game there. I do think this is may surprise some folks here and may knock some people out of their survivor pools this week. All right, we got 2 games tied for the second highest game total on the main slate here, Chicago and Detroit. And the other one is Philadelphia, Kansas City. I'll get into the early game here. Chicago heading into Detroit. Dome game, 47-point Vegas total, pretty decent, but second best, tied for second best here on the main slate. Detroit, 6.5-point home favorites, giving them a 26.75 team implied total, which is the second best on the team implied total on the slate. Chicago at 20.25 is the 17th ranked team implied total on the slate. Chicago offensive side, they're 18th in pass protection. Detroit number 1 in defensive pass rush, indicative that Chicago probably going to be taking some sacks. We've seen Caleb Williams struggle here into his second season. Ben Johnson maybe not making as much of a difference as some people would hope there, but probably going to be under duress, need to get the ball out. He's probably going to scramble a lot more, probably going to have a decent amount of rushing yards. I don't know what his rushing prop is for this week, but they're probably going to be in passing situations. He's probably going to get quite a few scrambles, or, hey, nobody's open, let me just head out and run the ball. So keep that in mind. If he's getting pressured, he may run the ball a little bit more. It's also more opportunities for turnovers, sacks, things like that, which if that's the case, I don't necessarily want to play him in fantasy, but I'd be okay betting him the over perhaps on the rushing yards, depending on what that line is. Wouldn't be shocked to see him somewhere in the 30 to 40 yards rushing range, and I'm assuming his props are lower than that. Chicago offensive pass DVOA is 23rd. That's red. Detroit's actually at number 29, so that's a slight favor there for Chicago. Negative that if they are passing the ball and getting it out, they may be a little bit more effective than they were against the Minnesota Vikings last week. On the run blocking side, Chicago number 23rd in run blocking, Detroit 19th in stopping the run, pretty even there. And then run DVOA, Chicago number 6, so they're inside the top 10. Detroit at number 11, outside the top 10. Slight favor there for Chicago. Based off of these, I would say, hey, there might be a lot of pressure here for Chicago. They may be taking some sacks, but in general, they should be okay moving the ball. It looks like, pretty even up or a little bit better for the run DVOA in the run game, and then that pass DVOA that could be effective there based off of that. Detroit side, they're 22nd in offensive pass protection. Chicago 30th in the defensive pass rush, so not getting home on those sacks. Detroit may have some time to throw the ball in this matchup. The pass DVOA, though, Detroit was very, very inefficient, number 28, Chicago 13th. pass DVOA versus pass protection and pass rush. So that first number here, we see 22 versus 30. That's an adjusted sack rate. This DVOA is how good you do on a play-by-play basis compared to what would be expected on your situation. So it's 3rd and 8, average pass attempts on a 3rd and 8 situation results in X. How did you do compared to X? Were you better or worse than that? That's really what that DVOA metric is looking at in Detroit. Very, very inefficient last week against Green Bay. We did see that their defense is probably pretty solid, so keep that in mind. Chicago actually number 13 in that pass DVOA, so they're pretty decent at holding the Vikings down. Could see Detroit struggle on that efficiency, even though they may have a little bit of time to throw the ball in this matchup. Now on the run blocking side, Detroit 31 and 28 on offense, both in the red, both bottom 4, bottom 5 there. Chicago middle of the pack to bottom 10, so run stopping number 16, run DVOA number 22. Slight favor here for Chicago's defense. Really looking like Chicago could hold their run game down on this, but again, these are very volatile in week 1. We could see Detroit come out and smash compared to what it shows on paper. As those things smooth out, we get a little better picture of what those defenses are like, but based off of this, really looking like Chicago's defense should stop Detroit from running the ball pretty well. Based off of this, it kind of looks like Chicago should keep it a little bit closer than Detroit's expecting. I'm going to go ahead and give that upset alert here for this one as well. So I think we see Chicago actually keep this one close against Detroit, that 6.5 point line. I think Chicago can overcome that and keep that in. So if I was placing a bet, I think this is an upset alert. We may see Chicago head into Detroit, keep it a lot closer than people are expecting it right now. All right, getting into Philadelphia, Kansas City. That is the other number 2 game on the main slate. So this is a close game, 47-point Vegas game total, but Philadelphia actually 1-point road favorites here. So they have a 24-point team implied total. That is 7th best on the main slate. Kansas City 23 as the underdogs is the 9th best on the slate. Philadelphia offensive pass protection 13, Kansas City 20. Slight favor here for Philadelphia, but nothing too crazy. Pass DVOA, though, is where it's at. Number 8 pass DVOA for Philadelphia. Kansas City 31 pass DVOA, meaning Philadelphia should be very efficient when they do pass the ball. This is going to be very good for A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith typically. They are very, very efficient wide receivers when they do get the ball, especially A.J. Brown. So wouldn't be shocked to see A.J. Brown with a pretty big game here against Kansas City based off of this number, especially if Philadelphia's got some time to throw and the game's expected to be close. It could be passing a little bit more if it is a close game throughout. And on that run blocking side, Philadelphia 22nd, Kansas City 12th in stopping the run. We did see them pretty good last week in their run scheme, but they are middle of the pack according to the adjusted line play here. So 12th and 14th, Philadelphia 22nd and number 8. So that run blocking area, I think, showing Philadelphia may struggle getting stuff across the line of scrimmage. So they may be stopped behind the line of scrimmage quite a few attempts, but in general, the play-by-play, they could be a little bit more efficient with quite a few being stopped behind the line of scrimmage, if that makes any sense. So the ones that do gain positive yards probably going to be pretty efficient, but you may see them get stopped behind the line of scrimmage a few more times than you would like if you're a Philadelphia fan. Based off of this, I think Philadelphia moves the ball via the air. The ground game probably a little less strong, so you may see a decent game there out of Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, and the pass catchers there in Philadelphia. And on Kansas City side, 16 in offensive pass protection. Philadelphia very good with that pass rush. Number 2, that was even without Jalen Carter that first game. So keep that in mind. They should be able to get after Patrick Mahomes here. He could get out and scramble quite a bit, but he's going to need to get the ball out quick. That's probably their game plan anyway. So Hollywood Brown, we saw him really operate underneath in week 1 as that Xavier Worthy went out and Rashee Rice is serving the suspension. Hollywood Brown really served as that underneath target, so keep that in mind. Could see him and Juju Smith-Schuster really pop off. Travis Kelce would be the other option there for some of these underneath routes, but Kelsey's probably going to be game planned for. I wouldn't say they're going to game plan to stop Hollywood Brown or Juju Smith-Schuster at this point, so watch out for those two to get quite a few targets on this particular matchup. And then past DVOA, Philadelphia 18, Kansas City 12th, indicative that Kansas City, while under pressure when they do get the ball out and are successful, they're probably going to be a little bit above average in terms of the outcome on those plays. Run blocking looks like where it's at, though. Kansas City, number 1 offensive run blocking. Philadelphia, 27th in stopping the run. Again, this was out without Jalen Carter last week, so this could change very quickly from Philadelphia being very bad to them being pretty solid after this week. But based on paper, this is a really, really, really good matchup for Kansas City's run blocking. 13th in run DVOA, Philadelphia 30th in run DVOA. Remember, Philadelphia just got ran all over by Dallas without Jalen Carter there. Dallas doesn't have very good running backs or a very good offensive. Well, their offensive line is okay, but running backs are kind of weak there. So keep that in mind. Jalen Carter certainly could change all of that in week 2. But based off of this, it does look like Kansas City run game should be good. Pacheco and Hunt kind of splitting work right now with Brashard Smith going in as a pass down back. But that's how that game's looking. Should be tight based off of this. I do like the Vegas line. Philadelphia, Kansas City looks like it should be a pretty good matchup here. Fourth game total on the slate here. Buffalo heading into New York. Could be very interesting here based off of the week 1 results. Some of the highest scoring offenses here in the NFL after week 1. So Vegas saying, hey, this is a 46-point Vegas game total. 4th highest on the slate. Buffalo heading into New York as 6.5-point road favorite, so a 26.25 team implied total there for Buffalo, 19.75 for the Jets. They are 4th and 18th on the main slate respectively. Vegas not expecting the Jets to repeat their offensive performance here in week 2 against Buffalo at home. So getting into the Buffalo side, they're number 4 in pass protection. Jets were 29th in that pass rush. So we did see Jets get basically stomped into the ground against Pittsburgh and Aaron Rodgers last week in the pass game. So this is going to end up being red for them across the board. But Buffalo 4th in pass protection, Jets 29th. Indicative they're not going to take a lot of sacks, and Josh Allen probably has some time to throw in this particular matchup. 11th in pass DVOA, Jets 27th. They should be very effective when they are passing the ball. They should have time to pass the ball. The deep shots for Buffalo probably will be there in this kind of matchup. That's probably good for Keon Coleman. Whether or not you think he's going to succeed in this, or Buffalo will pass as often based off of them having 6.5-point road favorite. They may be up, passing a lot less often, but it should be effective. Keon Coleman could be a beneficiary of a deep bomb or two in a matchup like this. Run blocking also looking pretty good for Buffalo, number 3 in run blocking. The Jets 31st in stopping the run. Really big mismatch there for Buffalo's in the favor of Buffalo's offense, but the run DVOA kind of flipped. Jets number 2 in run DVOA, Buffalo 10th. So even though the Jets in general on a play-by-play basis really bad at stopping the run DVOA was indicative that, hey, in the scenarios where you were running the ball, they were actually performing pretty good against the average outcome in a scenario like that. Buffalo also top 10, so run game should be solid for Buffalo as well. I do expect them, based off of this, to be able to score quite a few points in this matchup. So agree with them being one of the highest teams for their team implied total this week. Jet side, 17th in pass protection, Buffalo 23rd. Slight favor there for the Jets offense, but nothing really to write home about. Pass DVOA, they were very effective last week against Pittsburgh, number 4 in pass DVOA. Buffalo 32nd, dead last against that Baltimore team last week. That could flip-flop here. We got Justin Fields playing quarterback here for the Jets, so bear in mind, week 1, these things could flip pretty quickly going into week 3. We may see these values flip-flop, but based on paper going into this, it does look like the Jets should be very efficient when they do pass the ball, and they may have a decent amount of time to throw, which is good for their offense. Run blocking, Jets actually very poor there, 32nd, and then Buffalo number 8 in stopping the run, so I'd expect a lot of negative runs here from the Jets on that. And then the run DVOA actually flip-flop from there. The Jets number 5 in the run DVOA, Buffalo 31st in the run DVOA, meaning the Jets in general, when they do run it, if they're not getting stopped behind the line of scrimmage, they're probably going to have some very successful runs. So I'd expect the Jets to be very volatile in the run game. A lot of stuff at the line of scrimmage or behind the line of scrimmage, and then a lot of plays that maybe go for 10 or more yards. Just going to be kind of the nature of the beast for them, I think, on offense this week in the run game. Vegas game total 46. I do like both offenses here to do pretty good things. I think this 46 Vegas game total, I would bet the over on that. I'd be fine betting the over depending on the weather. I don't know if it's going to be super windy or anything like that, but the only thing that would give me some hesitation, somebody gets out to a lead, they're going to be running the ball a little bit more. As long as this is a back and forth, nobody getting out to too crazy of a lead, I think that will keep the offenses honest and, give a few more pass plays in there than run plays, which will save the clock from running out too much. But I would be fine betting the over on that 46 Vegas game total. It does look a little low to me on this. Now getting into the 5th game on the slate, Cleveland heading into Baltimore. Baltimore 11.5-point home favorites. They are the number 1 team implied total at 28.5. This is a 45-point Vegas game total based off of this line. You can see Cleveland there, 24th ranked team implied total. That is the worst on the main slate at 16.75. Getting into the pass protection for Cleveland, 13th, pass DVOA 22nd, Baltimore 4th in the pass rush, 23rd in the pass DVOA. Meaning Baltimore probably going to get after Joe Flacco here. He's going to need to get the ball out quicker. We saw last game, Harold Fannin really operating underneath there. Could see more of that. We did see the rookie running back there. It sounds like Quinshon Judkins will be active in this game, but I don't expect him to get involved in the pass game. Probably going to be more Dylan Sampson role there. I do see him getting quite a few targets in this. I think Cleveland's game planning to get the ball out quickly. So that's going to benefit Harold Fannin again this week. I think that's going to benefit Sampson as well. And then who's ever running some of those underneath routes? I don't know if that's Tillman more than Judy, but those would be the next best targets probably. And Njoku did run quite a few routes last week, so he could get heavily involved here against Baltimore as well. That pass DVOA is even matchup, nothing really to write home about, except Cleveland may be a little bit more effective than they're used to passing the ball in this, but they're probably going to get the ball out quick. Plan accordingly there. Run blocking side, Cleveland 27th and 27th, so not very effective running the ball. Baltimore, though, 30th and 24th in the run stopping and run DVOA. Cleveland may find the run game a little bit easier than usual, but they are pretty bad there. And Baltimore, while also bad, could be more of an even matchup than anything else in this week. I'd expect this to actually be probably the better of the two matchups. Just in general, because I think Cleveland going to be under pressure. They're going to need to get the ball out a little bit quicker, so that's going to be more of a dink and dunk pass game, not super effective, where this run game could be more of a standard. Hey, we're getting 4 yards carry. We're slightly moving the ball, whatever the case may be, down the field. Now, Baltimore, these are pretty even matchups in the pass game, so 23rd in pass protection, 27th in pass rush there for Cleveland, despite having Myles Garrett not getting home there against Burrow last week, but Lamar taking some sacks there. Even matchup, really, Baltimore may find themselves with a little bit more time to pass than they did against Buffalo there, but keep in mind they do have Myles Garrett, who is a force of nature on defense. And then the pass DVOA, despite them taking some sacks, they are number 1 in pass DVOA in Baltimore, and then Cleveland's defense number 10. Baltimore might not be as effective passing the ball here, especially if they're under a little bit of duress, but keep that in mind. They're probably not going to be as efficient this week as they were last week. Plan accordingly for that, not perhaps moving the ball as effectively there. Run blocking, Baltimore 25th, Cleveland number 3 in stopping the run. Expect Derrick Henry maybe have a little bit of things to say about that. They are number 2 in run DVOA in Baltimore, Cleveland number 8, so Based off of this matchup, I do think Baltimore pass game is actually a little bit more effective here than their run game this week. We did see last week Derrick Henry really dominate with over 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. I don't think that continues this week against Cleveland. I think he struggles a little bit more. Wouldn't be shocked to see him score a touchdown, but it does look like Baltimore is going to have to grind out on offense moving down the field. I don't think they're going to be able to rip off a bunch of chunk plays. And Cleveland also looks like they're going to be doing the same thing. The pace of play this week, data is not available on that yet, but does look like last year Cleveland did play pretty fast in their overall, but situation neutral 12th. Baltimore 13th in situation neutral. Otherwise, they were pretty slow overall because they're leading so often. So middle of the pack for those two teams. I do see them grinding out longer drives. So I don't think there are going to be a ton of points scored here. This 45 Vegas game total, probably pretty close to where you're going to see it. Based off of this Vegas game line here of 11.5, I don't know if that's necessarily going to be accurate. I would say Cleveland covers this 11.5 point spread this week. All right, we got 2 games tied for the 6th best weekly game total at 44.5. That is the Giants and Dallas here, and then we also have Carolina and Arizona, which we'll look at next. 5.5 point home favorites for Dallas, 25 point team implied total, 6th best on the slate. Giants at 19.5 is the 20th best team implied total. Getting into their pass game, number 3 in pass protection, Dallas 13th in the pass rush. Expect the Giants to have some time. It's going to be good for Malik Neighbors and company here in the pass game. Russell Wilson could have an okay game. Pass DVOA, Giants were really bad at 29, but Dallas also 26 in pass DVOA. I think they got some injuries there. Deron Bland, I believe, is injured or out for this game, so keep that in mind. Further bolstering Giants' opportunities to make this 29 a little bit lower of a number heading into week 3's adjusted line play report. I do think with this time to throw, Giants probably going to be pretty effective against Dallas this week in that defense. Run blocking, Giants number 9, Dallas number 11. Very close matchup there. Run DVOA, Giants 29, Dallas 27. Really even up matchup there. If you got a stud running back, they will dominate in a situation like that. The Giants don't have that. I'd expect Tyrone Tracy to probably get most of the work and then go from there. I think really Giants should be pretty effective in moving the ball via the air. Having some time to throw, that'll be good for Russell Wilson. Then the run game should be, standard day at the office. Dallas side, number 2 in pass protection, Giants 31st in that pass rush. Expect Dallas to have plenty of time to throw. That is going to be good for all pass catchers there from Dallas, especially George Pickens. I think he's more of the deep threat there. I could see him having a pretty solid game here against the Giants. Dallas is 16th in pass DVOA, Giants 21st. I'd expect the pass game to be pretty effective, and George Pickens probably to have at least one highlight play down the field this week. Run blocking side, Dallas number 6, Giants 9th, pretty even there, but then we have a red-green matchup on the DVOA side. Dallas 3rd, Giants 32nd. I expect quite a few ripped off longer runs here for Dallas. Javonte Williams. This does look like a situation where, hey, Giants, they're going to be okay moving the ball. Dallas looks like they're going to be very effective moving the ball. This is in a dome. 44.5 Vegas game total. I'm betting the up on that one. Wheels up for the Dallas Giants game. I think this one could be a sneaky one in DFS. I think there's a lot of plays here where people could have some monster weeks. All right, and the other 6 game total is Carolina heading into Arizona, as I mentioned, again in a 6.5 point home favorite here. Arizona this time, they are the 5th highest team implied total at 25.5. Carolina at 19 is 21st team implied total. Getting into the Carolina offense, 8th in pass protection, Arizona 3rd in pass rush. A slight favor there for Arizona's defense, indicative that they could be getting after Bryce Young here. Pass DVOA, Carolina 30th, Arizona number 9 in the pass DVOA on defense. So I don't expect Carolina to be very effective passing the ball here against Arizona. They could be getting after Bryce Young here. Bryce Young could be scrambling, getting some rushing yards, but it also could lead to some bad interceptions here. Arizona's defense probably in play this week. The run blocking side, though, that does look good for Carolina. Number 10, Arizona 24th. Carolina 17th in run DVOA, Arizona 23rd, both in the favor of Carolina. A red-green matchup for the run blocking there, so Carolina should be getting positive yardage each and every run play, and then maybe slightly above average in terms of the effectiveness of those runs. Considering the pass game looks pretty poor, I'd expect Carolina to lean heavily on Chuba Hubbard this week. Watch out for him being a pretty sneaky play in fantasy this week, despite them being 6.5-point underdogs. Arizona side, they're number 31st in offensive pass protection. Carolina 9th in the defensive pass rush. Indicative that they may be sacking Mr. Kyler Murray this week and getting after him. So he may get a few more scrambles, need to get the ball out a little bit quicker, do some of the underneath routes there. Could benefit Trey McBride there in that scenario. Defensive pass DVOA, Carolina 14th on defense, Arizona 18th on offense. Nothing to write home about there. Run game, though, Arizona 24th. That's red. Carolina, though, repeating what they did last year, being the worst run defense in the league. They're 29th in run stopping, 29th in run DVOA. Despite Arizona being middle of the pack or below average here for their run game, they should be able to move the ball on the ground against Carolina in this, meaning, James Conner probably has a pretty solid week. In general, it looks like Arizona going to be a little bit better for them running the ball. Same with Carolina, a little bit running the ball. Because of this, I think we do see a lot more run heavy attack here against Carolina, or in this matchup with Carolina against Arizona. That 44.5 Vegas game total, I think the exact opposite of the other one that was at 44.5, where that one's way up. Carolina, Arizona, I think, is going to be below this 44.5 game total because they're going to be burning out that clock on one of these Sunday late games. I think they'll probably be the first one to finish up based off of this. All right, 8th best matchup here on the main slate. We have New England heading into Miami, a very interesting game here. Miami 1.5-point home favorites. Again, this is an 8th ranked weekly game total at 44. The team implied total for Miami at 22.75 is the number 11 out of 24 teams. New England at 21.25 is number 15. Getting into the New England offensive side, they're 30th in pass protection, Miami 18. Pretty big favor there. Miami middle of the pack, New England pretty poor in the pass protection. Could take some sacks there. See Miami get a few sacks there on defense. Pass DVOA, slight favor for New England, but pretty even. Number 19, Miami on defense. Number 25 is red. We could see Drake May. He actually had 280 yards passing last week. Miami, very, very poor defense coming into the season. We saw them get lit up last week by Daniel Jones. I certainly think Drake May is as good or better than Daniel Jones, so he could have a solid week despite what these numbers are showing. On the run blocking side, New England 17, Miami 18, and stopping the run very even there. Don't expect anything too crazy. Run DVOA, New England 23rd, Miami 13th. That is in the favor of Miami's defense. Wouldn't expect New England to be super effective running the ball. If they're going to be moving the ball, it's probably going to be via the air. A little bit more reason to trust Drake May in a matchup like this, especially if you're getting rush yards there, be a scramble because he's under pressure there from Miami. That could be the case. Really kind of avoiding New England offense in this outside of anybody not named Drake May. Miami on offense, number 26 in pass protection, New England 18th. Slight favor there for New England. And then pass DVOA, Miami really bad, 31. New England 28th in pass DVOA. So Miami may find themselves a little bit better here against New England's defense than they were last week against Indianapolis, but Indianapolis not necessarily known to have a super great defense, so keep that in mind. And then the run game, New England should be very effective on defense. They're number 10 in stopping the run, Miami 29th, indicative that they could be getting quite a few stops behind the line of scrimmage on Devon Achane and company. New England number 9 in run DVOA, Miami number 12. Pretty even there. those are ones where I say, hey, if it's an even up matchup, your studs could eat. Devon Achane is a stud. While he might be getting stopped behind the line of scrimmage quite often, he could rip off a few pretty decent runs here against New England. All right, getting towards the low end of the slates here. Number 9, we have two matchups tied for 9th best weekly game total at 42.5. First one here, early game, San Francisco heading into New Orleans. Battle of some scrub quarterbacks. Sounds like we'll have Brock Purdy out for this. He's going to be out for a few weeks. So Mac Jones is coming in with San Francisco here. Those always lead to some interesting things that you need to take into consideration. But Vegas game total 42.5, not very good. San Francisco coming in as 3-point road favorites. I believe they were 6-point road favorites before the Brock Purdy news. So things going New Orleans way on that at the moment. But gives San Francisco a 22.75 team implied total, 11th best on the slate. New Orleans at 19.75, 18th best team implied total on the slate. San Francisco-wise, offensive pass protection, 7th. New Orleans, 26th in the pass rush. San Francisco should be able to protect Mac Jones, give him plenty of time to throw the ball, which is good for him. Pass DVOA, number 9 for San Francisco. Middle of the pack there for New Orleans at 16. Slight favor here for San Francisco. I'd expect them to be effective. Now, taken into consideration, they should be very effective. Again, this is with Brock Purdy, but we have Mac Jones coming in. If we pay attention to the paper, this should be a pretty good matchup. Mac Jones with time, being effective. This is where it gets a little wonky. So he's probably playing with some backups, 3rd and 4th wide receivers on the team. Those guys sometimes see a lot more action because that's who that quarterback is used to throwing the ball to. They're used to having the timing of their routes and stuff. So one of those backup wide receivers may have a decent game here. Could be Russell Gage, considering we do have some injuries to San Francisco's wide receiver room and George Kittle. So they got quite a few big injuries here. Russell Gage, probably a really sneaky DFS dart throw, really, really, really deep. And then you're looking at Ricky Pearsall probably getting quite a few targets in this matchup just because there's no one else to throw the ball to. Now on the run blocking side, it's actually in the favor here of New Orleans. San Francisco 20th in run blocking, 21st in run DVOA. New Orleans 4th in stopping the run. Big mismatch there. San Francisco probably expect quite a few stops at the line of scrimmage or behind. New Orleans run DVOA at 16 versus San Francisco's 21st. Slight favor there for New Orleans. I'd expect San Francisco to struggle a little bit running the ball. They're going to be a lot more effective passing the ball. Ricky Pearsall. We could see McCaffrey really with a 20 to 30% target rate in this matchup just because Kittle's out and we have all these injuries here in San Francisco. So keep that in mind. That's why I said Russell Gage. He's got the effect of maybe working with Mac Jones quite a bit. He was pretty solid before some injuries the last couple of years. And he finds himself basically thrust into a role here where he could find himself with 8 or 9 targets in a game like this. Keep that in mind. Low game total, though, so don't expect a ton. On the New Orleans side, 18th in offensive pass protection. San Francisco 12th in the pass rush. Slight favor there for San Francisco. New Orleans may need to get the ball out a little bit quicker. We see Olave under this new regime take a lot more underneath routes, so that's probably beneficial for him and Juwan Johnson. Pass DVOA, San Francisco 8, New Orleans 20. Again, it's indicative that New Orleans probably not going to be super efficient with their targets when they do connect. Again, Olave and Juwan Johnson probably going to be the big beneficiaries in this matchup. Run game does look a little bit in the favor of New Orleans. They're 15 in run blocking. San Francisco 20th on defense. And then run DVOA, New Orleans 11, San Francisco 18. I'd expect Alvin Kamara to be the main beneficiary in a matchup like this. I'd expect him to be a little bit more effective on the ground this week against the San Francisco team. I do like that Vegas game total at 42.5. This just looks like a bad game all around. Could even see that pretty well below that 42.5, but we'll see. I do agree with Vegas, though. That should be a low-scoring game. All right, getting into the other ninth ranked one, 42.5 Vegas game total here as Denver heading into the Dome of Indianapolis. Denver actually heading in as 1.5-point road favorites. Keep that in mind. That gives them a 22-point team implied total. So Denver 13th best team implied total on the slate of 24. I would assume this is probably the lowest favorite on the slate this week. Indianapolis, a 20.5-point team implied total, 16th best on the slate. Remember, Denver's defense is really good here. So we're going to get into Denver's offense first. They're 4th in pass protection, so not taking a lot of sacks, getting the ball out quick, whatever you want to call it. Indianapolis 21st in pass rush. Wouldn't expect a lot of sacks here from Indianapolis on Bo Nix, especially on turf. Keep that in mind. But then the pass DVOA is flip-flop. Indianapolis number 2 in pass DVOA. Playing Miami last week. A lot of takeaways. Doing good against that offense, which in theory could be very, very good. But weren't last week. And then Denver pass DVOA number 27, very inefficient. We could see, despite Indianapolis not getting sacks or Denver not giving up sacks, that Denver is actually pretty inefficient with their targets on their pass plays this week. Probably means they're going to be leaning on that run game. Run blocking is number 8 for Denver. Indianapolis 26 in stopping the run. Denver 9th in run DVOA. Indianapolis defense at 21st. So I'd expect Denver to run the ball quite a bit in this matchup and be pretty effective there. I think this is a J.K. Dobbins type week for Denver. Would not be shocked to see him with 20-ish total opportunities. Maybe 2 touchdowns. I do think he scores this week. He's one of the probably higher likelihoods to score in a matchup like this. So I do like Dobbins this week. Get him into your lineups. I think he will do well for you, especially if Denver is not being super effective with their pass game. Could see him really leaning on J.K. Dobbins in that run game. And especially Denver, probably not. They're getting the ball out quick. Probably not turning the ball over against this Indianapolis defense, despite what they did to Miami last week. Just keep that in mind. I think this could be a very, very good Dobbins week for the Denver squad. Indianapolis side, 11th in pass protection. Denver, 31st in the pass rush. I'd expect that, or 32nd in the pass rush. I'd expect that to change after this week. Complete opposites here. So 32nd in the pass rush, not getting a lot of sacks. At least not when you'd expect it. They maybe got 0 last week. I don't remember. But pass DVOA is number 1. Their pass defense has been stellar for a few years now. So not shocked to see them at number 1. That's not good for Daniel Jones. Pass protection, number 11. Could have time to throw the ball here, Daniel Jones, against his Denver squad. But wouldn't expect him to be as efficient as he was last week against Miami. They are number 7 in pass DVOA. I'm expecting against this Denver defense that number 7 probably drops down into the high teens after this week, despite him maybe having some time to throw the ball. And then on the run game side, Indianapolis number 18 in run blocking. Denver 17th, pretty even up there. Jonathan Taylor could eat that up. But then the run DVOA, Denver number 3, Indianapolis 15, indicative that they're not going to give up a lot of high efficiency running thing. So kind of a weird one here for Indianapolis. Should have time to throw, but not be very efficient with that. The run game side, you could see some positive yardage, but not a ton of ripped off long runs for Indianapolis. This does look like they're going to struggle to score a few points. Better of the 2 matchups is perhaps the pass game. That's where Denver's strong suit is. And then on the Denver side, I really think Denver is probably going to take the lead in this, hold it, and then you're going to see J.K. Dobbins actually with pretty good workload. Like I said, 20 opportunities. That might be 20 rush attempts in this game. Wouldn't be shocked to see him go over 100 yards with multiple touchdowns in this. Really do like him. And then otherwise, poor game environment here in Indianapolis. All right, second to the last game on the main slate are Rams heading into Tennessee. The Rams are 5.5-point road favorites here on a 42 Vegas game total. It's a pretty low game total there. Rams, 23.75. Team implied total is 8th best on the main slate. Tennessee, second worst team implied total at 18.25 at number 23. I believe Cleveland was the only one worse than them this week. Rams, offensive pass protection, number 24. Tennessee, number 4 in defensive pass rush. So expect some sacks there from Matt Stafford. Probably needing to get the ball out a little bit quicker. So who's that going to go to? Probably going to see a pretty decent tight end week here from the Rams, getting the ball out a little bit quicker. Puka Nacua certainly capable of getting open quick. Same with Devontae Adams. I think those are the big beneficiaries. Rams don't necessarily like throwing the ball to their running back, so I don't expect them to have a heavy involvement despite something like this usually creating that. So Tennessee maybe a sneaky defense here to get a few sacks, which could lead to a few strip sacks or turnovers, whatever on that end. Tennessee number 6 in the pass DVOA is pretty good. Rams number 14 in their offensive pass DVOA, so a slight favor there for Tennessee. Does look like the Rams are going to struggle throwing the ball here against Tennessee at Tennessee's home stadium. Run blocking, though, completely reversed. Rams number 5 in run blocking. Tennessee 25th in stopping the run. Expect Kyren Williams to have plenty of positive runs in this. And then the run DVOA 14 versus Tennessee's 25th. Again, middle of the pack versus one of the worst in the league. I would expect the Rams to be pretty efficient when running the ball. This all shouts to me with the 5.5 point Vegas line that Kyren Williams probably has a pretty solid week against Tennessee in this particular matchup. Now, on the Tennessee offensive side, they're 32nd in pass protection, 32nd in pass DVOA. Not a big shocker there with a rookie quarterback playing against Denver last week. So keep that in mind. These numbers maybe will improve a little bit against the Rams, but the Rams defense is solid. They're 25th in pass rush. Maybe Tennessee has a little bit more time than they did against Denver in a matchup like this, but pass DVOA for the Rams, number 7, meaning Tennessee probably not going to be very efficient when they do pass the ball. Probably see another game where, we thought coming into the season, Calvin Ridley probably going to get quite a few targets. We did see that. Alec Iomanner also getting a lot of targets in their matchup last week. We could see Chigaquanquo, if they're trying to get the ball out a little bit quicker in this matchup, get some targets. But overall, it looks like Tennessee's not going to be very effective this week against the Rams. So a tough draw there for the rookie Cam Ward in his first 2 games. Denver followed by the Rams defense. Poor guy there, and poor Tennessee pass catchers. Run blocking side looks a little better. Tennessee 16th in run blocking, Rams 21st, so slight favor there for Tennessee. And then run DVOA, Rams middle of the pack at 15, Tennessee one of the worst at 30. So while they gain positive yardage, I wouldn't expect Pollard to be ripping off a ton of effective runs, 6-8 yards or more. I'd expect those to be at a minimum. Doesn't look like Tennessee is going to be scoring very many points here. I don't think I would mind too much betting the under on their team implied total of 18.25. Vegas game total of 42 I think would be under as well, considering Rams probably not going to be super effective passing the ball. They're going to be running the ball with ease, and probably very, very run-heavy scheme or run-heavy game here for the Rams. Expect that clock to run out quicker. Bet the under on the 42 Vegas game total here. All right, and the worst game total on the slate here at 40 on the main slate for Seattle-Pittsburgh game heading into Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh actually 3-point home favorites there at 21.5. They are the 14th ranked team implied total on the week at favorites there. That may have even beat the previous worst, but not very good. Seattle at 18.5. That's the 22nd team implied total on the slate. Getting into Seattle's offense, number 12 in pass protection. Pittsburgh's defense 15th. Pretty even matchup there. Pass DVOA, Seattle 25th. Pittsburgh 30th. Again, pretty even there. Seattle may be a little bit more effective than they're used to passing the ball based off of last week. But really what has happened for Pittsburgh ever since we've had Mike Tomlin there, more of a defensive-minded head coach, they give up a lot of stuff to the slot game in Seattle. It sounded like Jackson Smith and Jigba last week played a majority of his snaps actually out wide. So you might see this be more of a Cooper Kupp type game against Pittsburgh. Just keep that in mind. But a pretty standard day at the office for the pass game here in Seattle. Run blocking wise, Seattle 13th in run blocking, Pittsburgh 22nd. Slight favor there, or decent favor for Seattle's offense. And then run DVOA 16th for Seattle, Pittsburgh 28th. Looks like Seattle are going to be a lot more effective running the ball. I'd expect Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker to do all the heavy lifting for Seattle's offense this week, and them to be somewhat effective when they do pass the ball. It doesn't look like they're going to be under too crazy of conditions to when they're in passing situations, or when they decide to pass, they should be okay. And then their run game should be pretty effective. So I think they're going to be pretty good, moving the ball decently in this matchup. Pittsburgh-wise, 27th on offensive pass protection. It looked like, I think Aaron Rodgers took 4 sacks last week. Seattle 7th in the defensive pass rush. We may see Rodgers take a few more sacks here this week. Seattle should be able to get after him. Pass DVOA, though, Pittsburgh very effective passing the ball, number 6 in pass DVOA. Seattle 24th in their pass DVOA, so very inefficient in stopping those pass games. So despite taking some sacks when Pittsburgh does pass, they're probably going to be pretty effective when they do throw it. The run game, though, not looking very good. Pittsburgh 26th, Seattle 13th in stopping the run. Big favor there for Seattle. Even bigger in the run DVOA, Seattle number 12, Pittsburgh 31. So really, really interesting matchup here. Seattle, 3-point road dogs. I can see Pittsburgh just got the standard line. But really looking like Seattle, pretty even matchup, slight favor in the pass game on offense. Really good matchup for their run offense. And then looking at the run defense for Seattle, that's a really good matchup too. So I wouldn't expect Pittsburgh to be able to run the ball very effectively. They're probably going to be taking some sacks in this. The only thing for Pittsburgh and their saving grace is the effectiveness of that pass game. But those might stall out if they're getting sacked and things like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit. I think this is the one game where it's a true upset based off of the Vegas game totals here. I think Seattle outright just beats Pittsburgh in this particular matchup based off of what we're seeing on paper. Again, with the caveat, this is week 1, so the very first adjusted line play report. These numbers could be very volatile, and heading into next week could look a lot different. All right, now heading into the island game matchups here, we have Sunday Night Football, Atlanta heading into Minnesota, the return of Kirk Cousins riding the pine. It's a 45.5 Vegas game total, so pretty middle of the pack there. Minnesota 3.5-point Vegas favorites, 24.5 team implied total for them, Atlanta 21. Getting into the Atlanta side, they're number 4 in pass protection, Minnesota 11th in pass rush. And then Atlanta 10th in pass DVOA, Minnesota 12th in pass DVOA. So slight favor there for Atlanta. They were green across the board, but they did play Tampa Bay, who I think is pretty poor in that regards. Minnesota is certainly a unique defense with Brian Flores providing a bunch of different looks to what is otherwise a relative rookie quarterback here. So could be interesting, but Kirk Cousins could coach him up in this week, and maybe what looks like on paper to be a slight advantage ends up being a slight advantage. Now in the run game, Atlanta 28th and 32nd, Minnesota 15th and 26th. Pretty heavily favored in the run blocking side for Minnesota, so there could be a lot of hit in the backfield there for their run game in Atlanta, and then not being super effective on the ground game for Mr. Bijan Robinson this week. So looks like the pass game a little bit better for Atlanta for moving the ball this week. Minnesota side 21st in pass protection, so taking some sacks, and then Atlanta 10th in the pass rush. I'd expect J.J. McCarthy to be under a little bit of duress in this matchup, need to get the ball out a little bit quicker, so that's probably going to be good for the running backs, tight ends, and some of those underneath routes in a matchup like this. I'd expect Hawkinson to be a little bit more involved as well. Aaron Jones getting some dump offs. They're probably going to be the heavy lifters on stuff like this. Pass DVOA exactly even up at 17 apiece there. Nothing to write home about. Other than, hey, DVOA-wise, if there's even matchups, studs do eat. JJ, Justin Jefferson could be effective based off of this as long as they got some time to throw. You could beat this defense. Then the run game side, Minnesota 7th in run blocking, Atlanta 14th in stopping the run. And then the run DVOA, Minnesota 7, Atlanta 7, pretty even up. A scenario where I think, hey, Minnesota could be under a little bit of duress while passing it. Run game is maybe a slightly better matchup of the two on offense. Maybe that's where they're going to lean on a little bit. And then Atlanta, their pass game a little bit better, run game a little bit worse. Should be a pretty close matchup. I think this 3.5 Vegas line is pretty good. The 45.5 Vegas game total I think is pretty good too. I know a lot of people thinking this is going to shoot out a little bit more based off of what we see on paper here. I don't know if that's the case. If you're getting into some island game DFS stuff, I do like Penix. I do like Aaron Jones from Minnesota to be the big beneficiaries, maybe TJ Hawkinson as well. And then Bijan Robinson always going to be a decent option even in the pass game. So keep that in mind. I think those are 3 or 4 names that you could focus on in a matchup like this. And if you think J.J. McCarthy is going to be rushing based off of this, scrambling out, he would certainly be in play as well. All right, we got 2 Monday night games this week. We're going to start with the lower of the Vegas game totals, which is Tampa Bay heading into the Dome of Houston. Houston actually 2.5-point home favorites against Tampa Bay here, a little bit surprising. It's a 42.5 Vegas game total. That gives Houston a 22.5 team implied total, which is second best on this slate of 4 teams. Tampa Bay at 20th is the 4th best team implied total. And then Tampa Bay side number 10 in offensive pass protection, Houston 24th in pass rush. Indicative that Tampa Bay should have some time to throw the ball. Will they be effective? Tampa Bay number 15, Houston 20th in the pass DVOA. Slight favor here for Tampa Bay, so I'd expect them to not have too bad of a matchup here passing the ball. On the run game side, Tampa Bay 19 running, Houston on defense 28th, so expect a lot of positive yardage here for that Tampa Bay run game. Run DVOA, slight mismatch here, slightly in the favor of Houston's defense. So Bucky Irving maybe not super efficient here against Houston, but should be gaining positive yardage on most of those runs. Now on the Houston side, 25th in pass protection, 26th in pass DVOA, really bad. They do have a bad offensive line. Tampa Bay 4th in the pass rush. I'd expect that to continue. Tampa Bay defense certainly in play here for getting home and getting quite a few sacks. On a low Vegas game total, if you're playing island games, defenses and kickers always start coming into play, and this really looks like Tampa Bay's defense could be one of those good options on this particular game. Houston 26th in pass DVOA, Tampa Bay 22. Pretty even there, slight favor for Tampa Bay. And then stopping the run, Tampa Bay 5th and 1st in stopping the run, Houston 12th and 19th. Again, big favor for Tampa Bay here. Based off of what I know from these two teams, I'm actually surprised that this Vegas line says Houston is the favorite. I'm wondering if I even put that in correctly, but based off of what we see here, I'm going to go ahead and say Tampa Bay upsets Houston here in Houston as 2.5-point road underdogs. I think Tampa Bay outright just wins this game against Houston. Should be stopping that offense pretty effectively, and then Tampa Bay should be okay on offense with time to throw the ball. And last game of the first iteration of the adjusted line play report in 2025, we have Monday Night Football Chargers heading into Las Vegas. Chargers are actually 3.5-point home favorite or road favorites here. A 47-point Vegas game total is pretty healthy. That gives the Chargers a 25.25 team implied total, number 1 on the Monday night slate. Vegas at 21.75 is the third out of those 4 teams on the Monday night slate. Chargers 20th in pass protection, Vegas 27th in pass rush. They do have Crosby over there, but they are still 27th here. Slight favor of Chargers, indicative that they may have a little bit more time to throw the ball in this matchup. They are number 2 in pass DVOA, so they're very effective when they do pass the ball. Vegas number 11 there, a slight favor for the Chargers. Hey, they should be pretty good passing the ball when they try it. Run blocking side, Chargers 21st and 20th, Vegas 7th and 10th. I would say Marion Hampton probably going to struggle again here against Las Vegas in this, probably leading to Justin Herbert needing to pass the ball a lot in this matchup again. We do see that pass rate over expectation at the end of last week, end of last year, once Herbert started getting healthy, did improve into the more pass heavy, and we saw that continue last week. I think it continues again this week. We should see Justin Herbert with a pretty solid game while the run game struggles a little bit. So get your pass catchers and Justin Herbert into your matchups. Vegas side on offense, 15th pass protection and 5th pass DVOA. Chargers 16th and 19th. So standard day at the office in terms of time to throw the ball here for Geno Smith and company. They should be very effective, though, against this Chargers defense. So I'd expect them to be pretty efficient passing the ball. They will not have Brock Bowers in this game, most likely. He did not practice as of Friday. So keep that in mind. This is a Monday night game, though. So we got one more practice today before we get an official report for him. Michael Mayer would be his replacement there, but probably not as good of a target earner as Bowers. So we'd expect Jacoby Myers probably to have a bigger game here. Deonta Thornton could see some targets as well. So keep that in mind. Maybe Ashton Genty gets a little bit more involved in the pass game with Bowers out. That's always an option too. The run game does look like it could be very effective on a play-by-play basis in terms of gaining yards. The Chargers dead last in that regard, so run stopping at 32. Vegas, number 11 in run blocking, so it could be good for Genty gaining positive yardage. And then ripping off efficiency, probably not going to be super good here. The Chargers 20th, Vegas 24th in run DVOA, so keeping him in check. He'll gain positive yardage, but getting kept in check. Based off of this, I do see the Chargers definitely winning this game. 47 Vegas game total maybe seems a little heavy with the way that the run games look in this. Who knows? Actually, maybe 47 is decent. Vegas should be very effective passing the ball. The Chargers should be able to pass the ball. This could bump up that Vegas game total up towards that 47-48 range. I think that's a pretty good line for this matchup, although I don't think Vegas can hang with that 3.5 line. I think the Chargers end up doing a little better than that this week. Anyway, that's going to do it for the adjusted line play report. We got through all, 15 games going on Sunday and Monday. I hope this brings you some more information that you can use to make better start sit decisions, go out, make successful prop bets and DFS lineups. So keep all of that stuff in mind. Week 1, always taken with a grain of salt in terms of these numbers. Values can change and fluctuate very, very volatilely on a week-to-week basis for these first couple of weeks while things get kind of sorted out. Then after that, all those bumps get smoothed out and we get very, very accurate on this type of stuff. So appreciate the watch. If you made it all this way, thank you for that. That's going to do it for this week's episode. Go out there. Let's win some money together, folks. Peace.